All right, Zvi, it's good to be talking again. I know you've been working on a lot of stuff, parenting, and of course, a myriad of activities bringing people together. I'm curious what's coming up for you that I want to learn about.
Yeah, what's coming up for me a lot, and I think this is something we've touched on in bits and pieces in the past, but one of the threshold moments in hosting an event or activity, or even if it's a one-on-one coffee meeting or something like that, is actually sending out the invitation, right? And especially, I know there's a lot of social anxiety around inviting people, especially if you feel, right or wrong, that the person that you are inviting may or may not say yes. And so, how do you think through that? How do you coach people when you're inviting someone and you don't know whether it's going to be an obvious yes?
Wow, I have two really strong responses to that. I'll respond in a controversial way so then I can back away from that, right? The first one is I love it when people say no. I love it. Not because I don't want them to come. So if I invite you to come with me to an NPR event at in DC, V, and you say no, I'm going to assume that you're saying no because you have something important to do, which could be take care of a kid or finish a podcast or whatever it is you need to be doing. And you should do that if it's important to you.
But there's an assumption based baking there, though.
I'm
You're
assuming that you're
assuming,
choosing what to do with your life that's right for you. And I could be wrong, right? And I'm not going to go mining for data and then see if I agree with what you're doing. But I'm going to assume that when you look at what you're going to do with your life this year, this month, or this week, you're going to choose to do the things that you think are best for you, which might be staying at home and watching Netflix, depending on how stressful your week is. But when I invite you and you say no, I'm going to assume that you're going to pick what you're doing is best for you. And I know that I've left you with an experience, in this case, receiving an invitation, that tells you that I want to be more connected to you, that I think you should show up, that it would be great for me if we spend time together. Now, I know you have kids and you run at least one business I know about. Chances you're doing something on Wednesday at 7 o'clock are pretty good, something important to you. So if you can join me, great. And if you don't, then you reminded that, hey, I invite you to stuff and we should spend time. That is like one layer deeper is I've noticed how much people in our culture are not invited because other people think they don't want to come or it's not good enough event. And I'll give you an example. It just came up a couple weeks ago when I was at an event. I made a new friend. Her name is Ann Kim. And Ann is a nationally famous chef, award-winning, works with Target nationally and has several successful restaurants. And she saw me speak about invitations and building community. And she came up to me afterwards. She said, Charles, I have several restaurants and my friends will not invite me to dinner at their home. And when I brought that up to them, the response was, of course, nobody wants you over for dinner at their home. And the fear is that the dinner won't be good enough or she'll judge it. And she said to me, she would love to be invited over for frozen pizza and she'd bring the wine and she would love to spend an evening eating frozen pizza and having wine with friends. And it may sound obvious to people who aren't cooks and chefs why people assume that a chef doesn't want to come over. But as someone who cooks, I know I spend a lot of time making my meals fantastic. But guess what? Not every meal I make is genius. And it's more important that I spend time with friends. So the lesson here that I want to share is we do a really cruddy job guessing what people want to attend or who they want to spend time with, and then adjudicating for them what are the appropriate invitations. And so my strategy is I invite people I want to spend time with, and I'm honest about what that event is, what we're providing, what we're not providing. You know, maybe it's just hot dogs somewhere, and let them decide. And I really wish we would see more of us inviting people we assume won't come or don't want to come so that there's an opportunity that we're surprised.
Yeah. And what I'm harping in on there that you just said is that to remember that an invitation is in itself, it's showing someone that you care about them, even if they may not be able to make it, even if they may not be interested in the activity, even if they may not be able to participate in the activity physically or whatever like that. To send an invite to someone is a way of just showing, like, hey, I care about you. And it's interesting that you bring that up because what I found in my experience is what oftentimes holds people back, including myself times, from saying invitation is the fear of social rejection. That if I invite someone and either they don't respond or they say no, it's could be that again they just aren't physically able to make it. or it's just not their type of activity. And people have been very honest with me about that. But unfortunately, again, our limbic system just kind of says, oh, it's actually that they don't want to see you. They actually don't like you. And this brings up kind of one of the common patterns I see. And it's kind of there's this research about the likability gap that we
That's right.
actually perceive that we are less socially desirable than we actually are. And we have to remember that when we're saying invitation, that like, honestly, what if I just channel what Charles said that, hey, the next time someone says no an invitation, it's purely just because like they just can't make it. And I did something great for them by showing them I care about them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think through the thought process, right? Like, Z, if you don't want to spend time with me, if I invite you to hot dogs on the beach, you don't want to spend time with me less, right? Like, I'm not harming our relationship by saying, hey, my neighbors are going to have hot dogs on the beach to celebrate the start of school. We'd love for you and your kids to join us. That would be fun. And you don't want to spend time with me. Maybe I'm not cool enough for you. When you say no to that, I haven't lost anything, but I could be surprised. Or it could be that you don't want to spend time with me, but it turns out your daughters really need to get out of the house more. And this is a great chance to get them to the beach and maybe they'll show up. So I guess I'm kind of confused about that. If people don't like you, they don't like you, and inviting them to something you generally want them to invite could come to that could be fun doesn't harm you. Here's the irony, right? If our relationship isn't very strong, or you don't know if I'm someone you want to carve out time to spend with, but I then invite you to things that could be fun, including beach time with kids, the chances are actually increase the chances of our connection, right? Even if you never come, you know, hope Charles spends time on the beach with kids and I have kids, that goes up. So the rejection is also still good in that scenario as well.